Hey everyone, I hope everyone is having a great weekend and happy almost end of this semester. We've come so far and it's been great doing all these video posts to kind of get to see the faces within the cohort of this program. So, in responding to chapter 11, I saw a lot of similarities from my initial post with a lot of your posts as well. There were numerous comments about the opening of the chapter regarding Carlson's comments and kind of downplaying of the virus, followed by, the rising of the numbers just 45 days later. So I feel like this is really misleading to the public, and no wonder why people are upset. You know, you, you think that you're going to come out of this problem, and then you have people giving false sense of hope, and people are going to get angry. Also, many of us recognized that the chapter had talked about there was a lot of potential life that was lost due to the pandemic. I think it was 2.5 million years of life. That is a super, super big tragedy, and I just can't even fathom that number. Some students had mentioned, I don't believe I mentioned it in my post, but definitely took note of it, that the scientists and the epidemiologists were referred to as alarmists. And my thought to that is, no, they are basically deliverers of information based upon facts. So these are the people that are actually being truthful to us. But then if something changes regarding us learning more information about the virus, I feel like these scientists and epidemiologists are being scrutinized as if maybe they are lying, when in fact they're just modifying the treatment approach due to what we are learning constantly about this virus. Many people appreciated the story of Gilman, who accepted a position in Arizona, knowing just how deadly and ugly that it was going to be there with the lack of mandates and the huge number of hospitalizations related to the virus. Many students also talked a lot about Trump, and that the study that was conducted determined that 38% of his actions were contributed to the misinformation that was given about the virus. And then on to when he was diagnosed, we all talked about how it was downplayed, his symptoms were masked, he received the greatest cocktail treatments. And then someone had mentioned about how he felt empowered after, contracting COVID, and that basically, that was where the discussion of herd immunity came in, from a standpoint of getting herd immunity through infection, which that is not the only way to gain herd immunity, obviously. Many of us mentioned the reverse Goldilocks virus, and that is super sad to me that, of course, this virus is deadly enough to kill, but not enough for people to make a short-term, not a lifetime change in their life to gain control of what is happening in our society. Another Republican governor was mentioned, who was a physician, who was downplaying the virus and comparing the flu as to be the size of a golf ball and COVID to the size of an M&M. And I think that we can all attest to the fact that the numbers do not speak the truth to that statement. I wanted to mention Alyssa's comparison with the Dominican Republic and the significant decrease in case. I can attest to this because I do visit the country a couple times a year. They were very strict on their the individuals that live there, they have a curfew, very strict mask wearing, including outdoors, like when you're walking the streets. But now they are curfew free, still have to use masks. I talk to my friend often and ask her what, the current mandates are. So I looked up some numbers and, I know from past research that the Dominican Republic has approximately 1 million more people in their entire country than the state of Michigan. So I always kind of do that sort of a comparison. And on November 30th, Michigan had a 7-day average of 6,822 cases, and Dominican Republic had 525 average. And when you look at the graphs associated with it, they are on an obvious downward trend. And the graph that I'm looking at for our state in Michigan, it appears that there's even like gaps in, like one day it'll say that there are 0 tests, and there's like huge gaps in the trend tracking. And I'm just wondering if that could be attributed to we're not testing as much as we were before. I'm not sure. That was just kind of my analysis of that. And then just honing in on the fact that, this virus has definitely a huge political background, one side versus the other, as I had mentioned before. And some student posts reflected about the, increase in violence, protests, threats, and it is a huge shame that we cannot be unified and come together as a country to defeat this virus. I mean, what an accomplishment it would be to be able to say that we came together and we defeated COVID-19. And then just ending on how the chapter ended about a different approach. How would things have ended up differently? Why is it that we could not follow the lead of other countries? By following the leads of other countries, we may have been able to get a jump on how to handle the pandemic. We have continuously learned more about the virus and we've had to make changes, but at least we would have had somewhat of a playbook to go by if we had researched the actions and the outcomes of other countries. So that was my biggest takeaway, the disappointment in the fact that we were unable to gain valuable information from what was happening in other countries and be proactive about a virus that was kind of swept aside as if maybe we would be lucky and not have encountered it. Boy, were we wrong. Those are my thoughts. I will look forward to watching everyone else's response posts, and I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their weekend. Thank you.